Welcome back to the second half of the 6th of November 2021 here on the Sheep Guarding Llama vlog with Scott Allen Miller. It is 6:30 at night and I'm going to open this with, we just received our news actually 40 minutes ago that we have been approved by Nicaragua. We have been approved by Avianca. We are completely cleared to get on our flight tomorrow in Miami for a direct connection to Managua. We are heading home. We will be home tomorrow. Finally, thank goodness, Dominica spent between 12 and 16 hours seriously on the phone with Avianca, getting this handled. At no point did Avianca communicate with us on their own. This was completely done over the phone. Had we waited for them, nothing would ever have worked. They never received our stuff without us sending over and over again. They didn't communicate with us that things were received, weren't received. None of it. All the documentation was wrong. I've covered all that. Holy cow. We finally got back, and Dominica was on the phone for another almost 2 hours after our day, which I'll go into in a minute. And only at minutes before our car was picked up at 6 o'clock, which is just half an hour ago, did we get confirmation that we are on the list and able to go tomorrow. Everyone, in fact. So anyone who's watching this, if somehow you get to see this before you go to your flight, you're approved. The entire plane has been approved. Whew. Wow. That has been the most stressful couple of days. There's still other things going on that are stressful, but this was huge. This panic of not being able to go home. This isn't a vacation for us. We want to go home, right? We want to get to our dogs. We want to see all of our friends. We want to be in the place that we already pay for and not paying for a hotel and going out to restaurants we don't enjoy. We just want to be home tomorrow. We will be. Okay. I'm going to follow that up with some advice, because a lot of people are excited about the fact that we're in Nicaragua, in one of the most amazing places on earth, and it sounds so incredible and all the pictures seem so incredible. Here's the actual truth. It is incredible, and everybody should come see us because it's fantastic, but not now, right? This keeps coming up. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, the flights are so hard. They're so expensive. There's so few options. Yes, we have COVID going on still. The whole world does. This is not a good time for travel. Absolutely start making your plans to come to Nicaragua. We want you to come visit us. We want to show you the country. We want to give you guidance on where to go. We want to make it easy. It is such a wonderful country. We want to share it with people. Absolutely. But be realistic. Right this second, COVID is making travel almost everywhere in the world extremely difficult, and Nicaragua is especially difficult because it is a small country with a small amount of tourism, and because of the drop in tourism, most of the airlines, and this is especially true for the United States, stopped flying there. The only airlines that stayed operational throughout the pandemic is Avianca from Colombia. They're the flag carrier for Colombia. Other than our issues with their communications the last few days, they're generally really nice airlines. They're partners with lots of good people. They're fine to fly. I have no problem flying them as a general thing, but they're the only one. You have no backup options if something goes wrong. I have no idea why there's loudspeakers here. And so you're just really constrained, and the prices are really high. Not crazy, but you're looking at $400 and $500 for a flight instead of $80 to $150 like it used to be. So you really have to think about, if you go a little bit sooner, it's going to be a lot more expensive. And there's no options. If Avianca's full, you can't take another flight. There's not even a flight every day. Avianca doesn't fly daily. They fly 3 times a week, I think. And so just everything makes it really hard. And you have all this paperwork that you have to do. A lot of Avianca's paperwork, a lot of Nicaragua's paperwork. Nicaragua doesn't have a ton of tourists, so they don't have like this big tourism infrastructure system to communicate that with everybody. And their vaccines are just now rolled out. They're on their first doses just in the last week or two for a lot of people, especially those working in the hospitality industry. So it's a really rough time, and they have to be really careful with getting your test before you come down because of that. In 3 months, all this is going to be completely different. United is scheduled to restart their flights in 2 weeks. American will probably restart pretty soon. Delta's not going to. Spirit is currently saying maybe mid-February. Copa has now started, so you can, in theory, fly from Panama City, and Aeromexico has started from Mexico City. But neither of those have direct flights to the United States. And they both have a lot. They're very expensive and very far out of the way. So we're starting to have options, but the flights from the U.S., the ones that originate in Miami, Houston and Los Angeles on American-based airlines are not yet operational, but could be in just a few weeks. That's going to change the game entirely. The prices are going to come down, the options, the coverage is going to go way up, the communications are going to go way up, everything's going to get extremely better just from that. And in just a few weeks, the first round of vaccines are going to generally have matured for the population at large. And they're going to start in like 2 months thinking about their second round of shots. And that's going to help things a lot. So we're expecting to see things get pretty easy much sooner, relatively soon. But right this moment, because everybody is so excited about how awesome it is and where everyone's itching to go somewhere now, yes, we would love to have everybody come down. It is absolutely safe and wonderful and beautiful, but the travel is really hard. We are still in a hardcore travelers only mode simply because of how difficult things like airlines and international border crossings are and how expensive COVID tests are and how hard they are to get, those kinds of things. Soon that will be fixed. Then it is time to travel. All right, so that is my information on that. We are feeling so much better, but we definitely don't want people to go through what we went through. We need to do this stuff. We had financial things that we had to take care of, errands we had to do in the United States. We didn't want to leave Nicaragua. This was a necessity, and thank goodness we got to visit a lot of family while we were doing this, so we made really good use of this trip, but this was a lot of critical stuff. And we knew better than to travel at this time. It was only because the bank waited so long to open our accounts did we even take this long. We should have been up here in August or September, much more realistically. We're already here getting well into November at this point. We never imagined it would take this long. Whew. Okay, so today, after my morning update, if you haven't watched it, go watch that. Oh, wait, pause. Good? Watch it? All right, cool. All right, so we packed up the car relatively early this morning and headed on down to the Florida Keys. Luciana was very upset because she really wanted to go to the zoo. Yesterday, she was like, we don't have to go to the zoo. Today, she's like, oh, this is boring. Why didn't we go to the zoo? And she's kept in like, maybe there's a zoo down there. Yeah, and it's like $200, like someday maybe, but definitely not today while we're dealing with these emergencies. And we can't be locked into a thing. We don't have a lot of time. We had to drop off the car at the hotel, this one, at 6 o'clock, long before 6 o'clock, right there. The owners are picking it up at 6 o'clock. So we couldn't be gone anywhere close to that. We had to be safely back by 5, really. And there's a bit of driving, so we had to be safely back by 5. Right. Not that the Keys are that far. Key Largo is about an hour and 10 minutes from the Clarion here. And where we went down to Isla Morada was maybe another 20 minutes tops. It's not far. Now, of course, you're not getting any of the like Key West experience, the Big Pine experience. That stuff I'm sure is way cooler. I'm sure those long bridges over the water are really amazing. We didn't get to do that. I would love to do that someday. I want to go see the Ernest Hemingway house, check out the cats and all that stuff. I think that'd be interesting. There's like a whole cultural thing around Key West. I wish we could have done it. And Luciana, at the end of the day, really wants to come back and see that stuff. Not Hemingway specifically, but the whole like experience and seeing more things. And it's funny how she'll get really into like, I want to come back and see stuff after being like, today was really boring. But it was cold and rainy, as I showed you this morning, here in Miami. So we couldn't go to the zoo yesterday for that reason, and we couldn't do it today either. Otherwise, I think we would have changed our plans, and I would have talked Dominica into going to the zoo, even though she didn't want to. And I think it would have been a lot of fun. I do want to go to the zoo. Liesel's not too big on zoos. I think she'd have fun once she got there. But Luciana and I are the zoo people. We want to go, but not on this trip. It just isn't to be. So we drove down, and it was getting about noonish that we got to Key Largo. On the drive down, we picked up coffee and Egg McMuffins just for Dominica and I. The kids didn't want anything from McDonald's, just on the highway. Unfortunately, they smashed our cups, and both of us ended up spilling coffee all over ourselves because it just ran out of the cup. So, yeah, just more things. It's been a very frustrating week, let me tell you. We got down, everything was fine. Traffic was great. Got down to Key Largo, drove the Everglades. That was interesting. None of us have seen any of this before. I mean, obviously on TV, but none of us, we've only been to Fort Lauderdale previously. We weren't even in Miami proper last time we were here. This time we're right in Miami, which is cool. I'm glad we're getting to see it a little bit and understand the region a little bit more. But we've never seen the Everglades in person, only from the air. Never seen the Keys, so that's very cool. We're enjoying that stuff. Key Largo, surprised. It's you don't even notice you're on an island. It just feels like more of Florida coast, just a little bit more remote. But so we drove all the way through Key Largo, didn't do anything there. Went over to the next Keys and went down several and went as far as Isla Morada. We wanted to go to Twisted Shrimp and check that out, but they were closed. Maybe they're gone. I don't know. The pandemic killed a lot of businesses. TripAdvisor acted like they were around, but Google's like, nope, they're gone. And when we got there was nothing. So we went on and we found Wahoo's, which we just looked at a map and said, this kind of looks interesting. Ended up being great. Now, I'll preface that with dinner for the 4 of us was about $85. So it's not cheap. But when you consider that dinner for 5 at Denny's is $75, it's kind of a deal. Like, I would rather eat at Wahoo's every day, right, than going to Denny's. Not that Denny's is bad. I'm just saying Wahoo's was really good. Dominica got calamari, the best fried calamari we've had in as long as we can remember. Like, it was really good. I mean, really, really good. All 4 of us are like, this is fantastic calamari. Luciana, she's not into seafood generally, even though she likes calamari. So she actually had a bit of the calamari, but she just got some basically spaghetti. Liesl and I had 2 items that we both kind of wanted. So I got the shrimp po' boy. She got the Wahoo fish BLT with no bacon. And we just cut them in half and each had half of each. And both were really good. And Dominica, being all stressed out, got a big key lime Ackery or something, I don't know, Arita, I don't know, some kind of alcoholic drink to help her calm down, because there's nothing she could do after all of her calling and stuff this morning. She was stuck with, you just have to wait until after Nicaragua responds, because they have a daily time that they send in all the approvals, right? That's why all the timing is as it is. That's why you have to get be more than 36 hours. There's no response for at least 12 hours. That's because they're trying to make sure everything has been sent to Nicaragua and there's plenty of time for it to fail, like the email to not work, and then they can resend it or whatever. And then they have to wait many hours, and then Nicaragua sends it back, and then they need time to process it and know that everybody's been cleared. So that's why the timing is the way that it is, and we knew that. But so as of this morning, they're like, okay, we've received the paperwork. They finally figured that out, and we knew we had to wait all day, and the earliest that there was any chance for Nicaragua to respond was about 4 p.m., so we just had to sit tight until then and relax. Which is hard for Dominica to do, right? Patience, not one of her virtues. So she was still feeling very stressed. There was no way for her to just kick back and relax while waiting for that response from Nicaragua. So she got a drink. But we all really enjoyed Wahoo's. We thought that was a really good restaurant, and really, considering it's in the Keys and completely a tourist place, the price was absolutely reasonable, and the service was fantastic. So I recommend that. That was a really good spot. And the views were really nice. Like, we sat outside, had a nice time. By the time we had eaten, Luciana was definitely feeling much better. She enjoyed the meal. Liesl really liked hers, and it was a perfect choice, right? We're very happy that we chose that. We then drove just a little bit farther, saw a little bit just there on Isla Morada, but there wasn't too much to do. So the farthest thing we did is we drove down to the Playa Library, something like that, the Library Beach, and hung out. But it was a dinky little beach, absolutely tiny. So yeah, it was like, I don't know, 40 feet of waterfront with signs that say, don't go in the water, there's crocodiles. Because remember, we're in the Keys, not Florida proper. So it's not gators, it's crocodiles, which are much more aggressive. And they had some swings and a tiny little playground. So we kind of just hung around for a little bit. We wanted to be outside. We wanted to relax. So we enjoyed just a little bit of time there. We really didn't do anything. Unfortunately, while we were there, Luciana had her glasses just break. Now, they're old. They've been through a lot. She's very rough on them. She is Dominica's daughter, after all, and they snapped. So we now have Luciana without working glasses, just to add to our week of crazy stress and disasters. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world. She doesn't have to drive or anything, but it does make things a lot harder. So we had to go get super glue for that. So we left the playground. I did break out the Olympus and take a few pictures, but only a few, because that happened, and there was nothing to do, so we weren't there for very long. There was like a spinny thing that we played with that the girls would hang on to, and you spin in the air. We see them on Fail Army all the time, so they wanted to play with that, and it was fun. But for the most part, it was a tiny playground. I don't know why they even had a playground there. It was nuts. We left there, started heading back. We're like, whatever we're going to do, it's going to be on the way back. And Luciana was the one thing, she's like, can I get ice cream? We're like, yes, we'll go get ice cream. So we found a place called Mrs. G's Gourmet Ice Cream. They're actually a Bluebell shop selling Bluebell from Texas. So we stopped in there. The kids got ice cream. Dominica and I declined because it's like $6 a cone. Absolutely not. I didn't even feel like ice cream, so there's no way I'm subjecting myself to that. And Dominica can't finish one, so she's like, $6 for not even going to finish it. It doesn't make sense. So the kids got ice cream and ate it there. We ended up talking to the shop owner for a while, and he's like, where are you guys from? Like, he started being like, what's going on? And we're like, well, we're from Nicaragua. And he's like, what? I've never heard this story. Like, was really excited to hear all about what we had going on in our trip and all that. So we were there for probably 20-30 minutes. We then drove on. We were hoping to go to Founders Park because we heard they had a playground and the kids would enjoy that. But it was $8 just to park. No, not going to happen, especially because we had very limited time. Actually, our whole day was very short because the drive was about an hour and a half in each direction. So it's 3 hours of our total day. We didn't get to leave until nearly 11, and we had to be back by about 5. You do the math, we had very little time there. Mostly is just driving, seeing the Keys, and getting food, which we did, and that worked out. And the ice cream was a perfect capper to that. Since the park was not available, China said she wanted to go shopping, so we did stop into Seashell World, which is not a place that sells seashells exactly. I guess they do, but it's a huge souvenir shop in the Keys. So we were there probably about half an hour, and both of the girls bought themselves some souvenirs to take back. Luciana and Liesl both picked out little like statue things, like real small, and Luciana got a stuffed animal. We then got back in the car, and that was it. In between there, we had stopped at CVS and picked up glue and a few little necessities, just real quick while we were out there. And then it was a drive back. We got back at just about 5 o'clock, so we were about 4:45. So we were feeling a little bit of a wow. We didn't have a lot of extra time here, and plenty, no problem, because they weren't going to pick it up till 6. But it was definitely pushing it for comfort. On the drive back, by the time we were clear of the Everglades, the moment we got, because Dominica was worried about having phone coverage in the Glades, the moment we got to real Florida, into the city, about Homestead, she hopped on the phone and waited on hold for just over an hour. So she got on about 4:45, I would say, maybe 4:30, held until about 5:43 when they came on and said, you're approved. And she sent the text, and that's when I sent the Instagram. For those who follow, you can watch my Instagram. I try to put some amount of story in there so you can follow along in real time if you're worried about like whether we actually have a flight or whatever. That's where that goes, which will not help you if you're seeing this for this trip, but for future trips, that's how I do that. And I need to, because of the way I do these in the future. So the girls and I had gone up to the room. Dominica couldn't go up in the elevator because it might cut off the call. So she stayed in the car, but we were having it picked up at 6 anyway, and someone had to be down there. So she just waited there until the person who rented us the car showed up at 6. They picked up the car. Everything was great. That's our second time using Turo. Both times have been fantastic. We love Turo so far. Both people that we've rented from have been great. Both cars have been really good. We're just happy with it, and it has saved us so much money over anything else. So I think that's our new go-to. It's kind of the Airbnb of cars. And, you know, at some point Airbnb became kind of a problem and we don't use it so much anymore. Hopefully Turo doesn't do that. Cars are very different than that, because you're competing against car rental companies, not competing against the hotel industry. It's a very different thing. There's a lot of protections in hotels. It's getting dark out here. So yeah, we've been very happy with that. Our plan tonight, Dominica is done. She's just ready to nap. She's feeling good. She's happy. She wants to go to sleep. Luciana wants IHOP for dinner. Liesl doesn't particularly care. I do not want to eat IHOP, but I will take them. We don't have a car, but it is walking distance. It is a long walk, so Dominica would not be happy. I don't think the girls are going to be that happy, but it's the place they want to go, and I'll walk. So it's probably about a 25-minute walk to get there. We're going to do that, and then that is it Dominica is already packing up the luggage. We are just about ready to go. We will be heading to the airport tomorrow. I don't even know what time our flight is. I think we're heading out at about 11 o'clock in the shuttle, maybe 11:30. We're going to leave a lot of time at the airport. We are way past the point of having any allowance for something to go wrong. Absolutely none, not having it. That's the other reason not to fly now, is that it's just so easy to have, it used to be, oh, I might miss my flight. I'll stay in a hotel and go tomorrow. That doesn't exist anymore. Now it's, oh, I'll have to stay in a hotel for 3 days and hopefully be able, and deal with getting a COVID test and all these things and maybe get to fly in 3 days. Heck no, you do not miss a flight in this day and age for anything. It used to be so casual, that stuff, until that starts being a little bit safer and you can safely miss a flight and find some other way to go. Gotta just wait, right? Unless you're just a hardcore traveler and you gotta get out there. But if you're watching this and wondering, should I get out there and start traveling? Not to countries that are still under COVID controls. If you're flying in someplace that you can just go to and you just have to show your vaccine cards and you can take a flight at any time and it's nice and easy, yeah, that's probably okay to do now. But for countries that are still needing that negative test, I would seriously think about whether you want to go now or wait just a few weeks or months until those things have been resolved and are much, much easier to deal with. There's just that much more safety. All right, I am going to call it a night. I will talk to all of you tomorrow, hopefully with just lots and lots of good news that we are on our way to getting on the plane. See you tomorrow.